live with these classes on YouTube and Facebook on our channels. So today's verse is Bhagavad-gītā 8.10, chapter 8, text 10. prayāṇa-kāle manasācalena bhaktyā yukto yoga-balena caiva bhruvor madhye prāṇam āveśya samyak satam paraṁ puruṣam upaiti divyam. prayāṇa-kāle, at the time of death. Manasa, by the mind. Acalena, without its being deviated. Bhaktyā, in full devotion. Yukto, engaged. Yoga-balena, by the power of mystic yoga. Cha, also. Caiva, certainly. Bhuvor, the two eyebrows. Madhye, between. prāṇam, the life air. āveśya, establishing. samyak, completely. sah, he. tam, that. paraṁ, transcendental. puruṣam, personality of Godhead. upaiti, achieves. divyam, in the spiritual kingdom. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. One who at the time of death fixes his life air between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga with an undeviated mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please repeat. One who at the time of death fixes his life air between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga with an undeviated mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. In this verse, it is clearly stated that at the time of death, the mind must be fixed in devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For those practiced in yoga, it is recommended that they raise the life force between the eyebrows to the Ajna chakra. The practice of Shat-chakra yoga involving meditation on the 6 chakras is suggested here. A pure devotee does not practice such yoga, but because he is always engaged in Krishna consciousness, at death he can remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead by His grace. This is explained in verse 14. The particular use of the word yoga-balena is significant in this verse because without practice of yoga, whether Shat-chakra yoga or Bhakti yoga, one cannot come to this transcendental state of being at the time of death. One cannot suddenly remember the Supreme Lord at death. One must have practiced some yoga system, especially the system of Bhakti yoga. Since one's mind at death is very disturbed, one should practice transcendence through yoga during one's life. So, this verse is following a very important verse that we covered last Sunday, 8th chapter, 9th verse. In fact, because it was a Sunday session and we had limited time, we only covered one aspect of that verse. That verse had 8 aspects. So I redid the session, the class on that verse on Wednesday on live stream. where we discussed all the 8 aspects of that verse. So just to give you a brief recap. So Krishna, see this whole chapter, Krishna is explaining how to address the problem of death. Now, we're not talking about how to put ventilator, how to, medical procedures. We're not talking about that. We're talking because despite all medical procedures, one is going to die. Either today or tomorrow after 100 years. So, and it's not finished at the time of death. And that is signified by today's verse. The first word of today's verse, what is that? Prayāṇa-kāle. What is prayāṇa? Means journey. Death is not described as ānta-kāle, although anta is also used. Anta-kāle cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. In the matter of kalevara, it is anta. In the matter of the body, it is the end. But of the soul, it is never the end. Whereas on the other hand, on one hand, the science, the so-called modern science, which is honestly very, very skewed, very limited, very narrow, they are bewildered by things like, past life remembrances. There have been many cases where children of 2 years, 3 years old, they remember very vividly their previous lives and they say many details, and when investigations are done, it turns out to be true. And science cannot explain. And they're not even making an attempt. Because why these things happen? See, Krishna is very kind. Krishna always wants us to understand ourselves and, make a complete solution for our miseries of birth and death, repeated birth and death. But we are so adamant to remain in this material world. We are not interested in our spiritual lives. We want to just chase animalistic sense gratification in a slightly more sophisticated way. So Krishna, in order to prod our thinking, sometimes makes these kinds of situations in the world where, there are examples which are bewildering, which makes people think, how can he remember something? How can he remember? That means, is there a previous birth and a next birth? Is there such a thing? So people start to think because, who has seen, who has come back and said, then, well, you have people who have come back and said. Why not everybody is saying, well, that is actually a benediction of Krishna also. Because if we really remember our previous lives, honestly, we can't handle this one life's miseries. You want another life's miseries? You remember all the troubles you went through in your previous life? You want that? No. We can't even handle this life. So, Krishna, knowing our absolute hopelessness, helplessness, very mercifully lets us forget our previous life. But sometimes he does these kind of examples so that we can actually start to think, hey, what is this? How can science explain this? Where is the answer? Until now, science cannot explain. So, the exact mechanics of how everything takes place at the time of death are explained in such great detail in our Vedic literature that you'll be amazed. In Srimad Bhagavatam, in Markandeya Purana, in Bhagavad-gītā also. I mean, the amount of detail, the amount of clarity there is on what exactly happens at the time of death. That's why we should read these books. These are not books of faith, optional. These are for weak people, those who want something to cling on to for support. They are not strong enough in their mind. People say like that, some people. They think they are super strong and they don't need anything. But they are the fools actually. Because here is the answer. Here we can understand, who am I? Prayāṇa-kāle. What is prayāṇa? What journey? I'm going to overseas, then manasācalena, bhaktyā, yukto. No. Of course, we are every time, whether we are going overseas or here or in the past or any time, we have to do. But honestly, we are on a journey, and this is a stopover in this life. And after this, we'll continue and continue and continue. And it is said that at the time of death, the body is completely deranged condition. It is not in order. Now we can see a very, very minute glimpses of this when we get sick. You see how much it is difficult to concentrate when we have a headache. When we have a severe headache, how to concentrate on anything? Now, every part of the body will be out of order at the time of death. People say, oh, he passed away peacefully. It is never peaceful. Death is not at all peaceful. The thing is, they cannot express themselves. They cannot express. They are so, their senses and everything is completely out of order. They have no control. And how to navigate such a situation? If I cannot navigate a mental disturbance or a physical disturbance in this life, how can I ever navigate the death successfully? Now, what is successful navigation of death? So we will go to that previous verse where 8 aspects of Krishna are mentioned. But you see, just before that verse, in the 8.5 and 8.6, 8 chapter 5th verse and 8 chapter 6th verse, Krishna qualifies how one can pass the examination of death. We are all in this preparation for this exam. Some vast majority will fail. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayah. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body remembering me alone at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. So what happens if he attains Krishna? And this is not heaven. So don't mistake it for Swarga Prapti. Swarga is nothing. Swarga is actually hellish. Although many people want Swarga Prapti, there is actually no happiness in Swarga. It is an illusion of happiness. It's a distraction. Let's see what is in Swarga. Evam lokam param vidyam nashvaram karma nirmitam satulyaatishayadhvansam yatha mandalavartinam. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 3rd chapter, 20th verse. One cannot find permanent happiness even on the heavenly planets, which one can attain in the next life by ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices. Even in material heaven, the living entity is disturbed by rivalry with his equals and envy of those superior to him. And since one's residence in heaven is finished with the exhaustion of pious fruitive activities, the denizens of heaven are afflicted by fear, anticipating the destruction of their heavenly life. Thus, they resemble kings who, though enviously admired by ordinary citizens, are constantly harassed by enemy kings and who therefore never attain actual happiness. This is heavenly kingdom in a nutshell. Those who want to go there, well, it's not very rosy. And the heavenly inhabitants, the devatas, what are they saying? Let's see what is their opinion. Now, these are actually a series of verses, but I'll just take you through. Let's actually see, since most of all of you are Indians, let's try to understand what fortune actually we have. Etadeva hi deva gayanti. Deva means the devatas in the heavenly planets. Aho amisham kimakari shobhanam prasanna esham sviduta swayam hari yair janma labdham nurushu bharatajire mukunda seva upaitam sprihani hinaha. They have mentioned this word called what? Bharatajire. Bharat. Since the human form of life is the sublime position for spiritual realization, all the demigods in heaven speak in this way. Why devatas are called demigods? Demigods means they're not God. Like Shiva, Indra, Chandra, Vayu, Agni, all of them, Brahma himself, all of them are not God. They are servants of God. They themselves proclaim that. Only on the earth we have this confusion. Who is God? Oh, this is God. This is my favorite God. These things are not there in the heavenly planets. They perfectly know who is God. Lord Shiva says, Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param. Of all types of aradhana, worship, Vishnu aradhanam param in the Padma Purana. Of all types of worship, Vishnu worship is highest. He says, for mukti, you have to go to Vishnu. Yeah, Lord Shiva said, I can give you anything except mukti, moksha. For moksha, you have to go to Vishnu. That is what we want. Who wants to come back again with a rich family or some aristocrat? Who wants that? If anybody wants that, he actually does not know what dangers are there in that, in coming back to the material world. So anyway, let's see what the demigods are saying. How wonderful it is for these human beings to have been born in the land of Bharatvarsh. We want to go Svargalok, but Svargalok Vasis are saying, how fortunate are the Bharatvasis? And now we are here, running away from Bharatvarsh, coming to where? Singapore, America, Europe, thinking that NRI, non-resident Bharatvasis. Here, they are glorifying Bharatvarsh. Our country is that famous. All over the universe it is famous. Because when Krishna personally comes, when Ram comes, he chooses that place. In the whole of earth, in the whole of the universe, in all the multitude of planets, he chooses this planet, and in that planet, all over India, wherever you go, there are places connected with the Lord. That is called Punya Bhumi. Now we just look at the relics, the remains, when you have a dead body, after that there is some bones only remaining. What he was in his life, maybe a great conqueror or whatever, great influential person, done a bunch of influential and impactful things. But now what remains is some bones. So like that, whatever remains of Indian culture is now remaining, that is just like the skeleton. All the dilapidated buildings that were once great temples. Look at the size of the temples. You go to South India, for example, Srirangam, Tirupati, and so many, Varadaraj Perumal temple. And even in North India, we have, Ram Mandir in Ayodhya. Now, of course, they're rebuilding it. And then we have Mathura, there is the Janmasthan of Krishna. Now, half mosque, half temple. Jagannath Puri, we have a great temple. Everywhere. Just imagine. Now, here, to manage one temple, how many people are required, how much wealth is required to just construct a small temple anywhere. Look at those temples. How many thousands of people were serving the Lord? That means what kind of culture was there in those days that the temple, there cannot be a building higher than the temple. That was the rule in any city. The temples used to be the highest temple, so that, why? From anywhere in the city they can see the chakra of the temple and they can remember the Lord. Now the highest buildings are where they worship money. The central business district. Usually it was a central spiritual district. Like if you see Jagannath Puri, from anywhere of the city you can see that shrine and you will remember Jagannath. Now we remember money. All these skyscrapers. You will see the DBS, HSBC, all this, written there. So now, the Devatas are saying they must have executed pious acts of austerity, that means tapasya, in the past, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Hari, must have been pleased with them Otherwise, how could they engage in devotional service in so many ways? We demigods can only aspire to achieve human births in Bharatvarsha, to execute devotional service. But these human beings are already engaged there. We are thinking, Arey, we want to Swargalok, we want to go to Swargalok. They are already there in Swargalok. How much they are enjoying? But Swargalok Vasi is saying, what is your enjoyment? Bharatvasi, that is, Bharatvarsha is the best. किं दुष्करैर्न क्रतुभिस्तपो व्रतैर् दानादिभिर्वाद्युजयेन फल्गुना न यत्र नारायणपादपङ्कज स्मृति प्रमुष्टातिशयेन्द्र इन्द्रियोत्सवात्. See, Indriya Utsava. They have in the heavenly planets Indriya Utsava, a festival for the senses. That means an unending opportunity of sense gratification to gratify the senses. And they are saying, after having achieved all this, Nayatra Narayana Pada Pankaja Smritihi, we are not able to remember the Lord, we are too distracted. Let's see what they say. The demigods continue. After performing the very difficult tasks of executing Vedic ritualistic sacrifices, karmakanda, undergoing austerities, tapasya, observing vows, vrata, and giving charity, dāna, that means yajna, tapasya, vrata and dāna. After performing all these pious activities, we have achieved this position as inhabitants of the heavenly planets. But what is the value of this achievement? Here, we are certainly very engaged in material sense gratification, and therefore we can hardly remember the lotus feet of Lord Narayana. Indeed, because of our excessive sense gratification, we have almost forgotten his lotus feet. The sorry state of affairs of the Swargaloka. And continuing on. Kalpayusham sthana jayat punarbhavat Kshanayusham bharat bhujayo varam Kshanena martyena kritam manasvinah Sanyasya samyantya bhayam padam hare. This is all from Bhagavad Purana. Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 19th chapter, verses 21 through 26, and now it's 23. They say, a short life in the land of Bharatvarsha is preferable to a life achieved in Brahmaloka for millions and billions of years. Because even if one is elevated to Brahmaloka, he must return to repeated birth and death. Although life in Bharatvarsha in a lower planetary system is very short, one who lives there can elevate himself to full Krishna consciousness and achieve the highest perfection, even in this short life, by fully surrendering unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus one attains Vaikuntha Loka, where there is neither anxiety nor repeated birth in a material body. So they are in a much higher position actually. The standard of life, just like from India we have come to Singapore for in expectance of some higher standard of life, the standard of life on Swargaloka is, thousands and tens of thousands, sometimes millions of times higher than on earth. They are far more advanced than us in their technology, in their comforts, and everything, in their beauty. You will never find an ugly person in the heavenly planets. There's no such thing. They don't know that. So everything is very high standard. Thus one attains Vaikuntha Loka. So they are saying that this is actually a lot of distraction, too much distraction. It's like now you see, we have some hand phones. How much distraction it is. How many hours get wasted with those devices. Just a little bit of gratification at our fingertips. Already we are gone. Imagine if you have a life like the Devatas, handphones are nothing for them. What? They are doing everything. They are born with those perfections. They can see anything and everything from anywhere. They can control them. They control the air, the wind, the earth, everything they control. Fire is completely in their control. I mean, just imagine the kind of intoxication you will have. So they realize that. And they're aware of their dangerous position. Now they say, this is a beautiful verse. Nayatra Vaikuntha Katha Sudhapada Nasadhavo Bhagavataastadashraya Nayatra Yajnesha Makha Mahotsava Suresha Lokopi Navaisa Sevyatam. An intelligent person does not take interest in a place, even in the topmost planetary system, if the pure Ganges of topics concerning the Supreme Lord's activities does not flow there. That means if Krishna Katha, the river of Krishna Katha, if it is not flowing, then the real intelligent person is not interested there. If there are not devotees engaged in the service on the banks of such a river of piety, usually settlements happen at river banks. That is a traditional method. Nowadays, of course, they try to have in deserts and everything, try to channel the water somehow. But the natural way is by the river banks. Now, the river bank around which the devotees make their settlement. What is that river? Nayatra Vaikuntha Katha Sudhapaga. Vaikuntha Katha. The river is the topics of Krishna. Wherever the topics of Krishna are flowing, where it will flow? Where it will flow? Among devotees, yes. But usually water flows from high to low, right? So, where water flows? From high to low. Now let's see this. I think it's this. Yeah. वासुदेव कथा प्रश्नः पुरुषां स्त्रीं पुनातिः वक्तारं प्रच्छकं श्रोत्रीं तत्पादसलिलं यथा. The Ganges emanating from the toe of Lord Vishnu, that means the Ganga, purifies the three worlds, the upper, the middle and lower planetary system. Do you know this actually? Ganga does not only reside on the earth, from Gangotri it is starting and in the Bay of Bengal it is going. Actually no. That is what we see, that is what is visible to our eyes. But actually the water is coming from the heavenly planet, right from the tip of the universe. When Vamandev conquered the universe with 2 steps, the second step when covered the sky, then his toe pierced through the coverings of the universe. And the water from the Viraja river or the Karanadaka ocean, where Mahavishnu is lying down and from his body, millions and trillions of universes are manifesting. From that water is actually dripping from that hole that was created by Vamandev. And from that water, that although it's a dripping, it's not like some tap just leaking like that. The force of that water was so great that if it was not controlled, it would dissolve the entire universe. Just like when water jet, you force it through anything, it will break. Like in a clump of mud, you do that and then run the water jet. It's just dissolved into pieces. So the universe would have been dissolved like that. That was the force of Ganga. That's why Lord Shiva, had to take that force on his head. They show, the water is Ganga is flowing out from his head. It is not that some fountain is there on his head. Not that water is, where is it coming from, the water? Not from his body, some water is coming. No. It is coming from the spiritual world and from the Karana ocean. And then it is bouncing off his head. He took the brunt of the force. And that's why the whole world is still existing. And it will pass through all the planetary systems of the universe. In the Swargalok, it is called Mandakini. In earthly planet, it is called Ganga. In lower planetary systems, it is known as Bhogavati. 3 names according to 3 planetary systems. So this Ganga is the most famous river in the entire universe, therefore. It's not limited to only this planet. In fact, if one is advanced, it is said, then we can see in subtle bodies, the water from the heavenly planets are dropped off at Gangotri in the Himalayas in huge airplanes, massive airplanes of the heavenly planets, We can't even see these things. This is so subtle. So the water is being, carried in huge pots. And just imagine the arrangement, the logistics. So, the Ganges, the Ganga emanating from the toe of Lord Vishnu, purifies the three worlds, the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems. Similarly, when one asks questions about the pastimes and characteristics of Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, three varieties of men are purified: the speaker or preacher, he who inquires, and the people in general who listen. This is how it flows. The comparison is given: upper, middle, and lower planetary systems, Ganga. So the speaker is at the top, the inquirer is at the second, and then the people who listen, they are the third. So in this way, this is the river of Vaikuntha Katha Sudha. That means when there is people who are inquisitive about life, about God, about their relationship with God, about what happens after death, all these things. So when they inquire, you see Bhagavad-gītā. What is Bhagavad-gītā? Arjuna was inquiring. He was unclear about the aim of life, unclear about his duty, unclear about what he was supposed to do. And so he asked questions to a qualified person, Krishna. And there we have Bhagavad-gītā. And now we are discussing that subject. Similarly, Bhagavatam. What is Bhagavatam? Parikshit Maharaj had a situation where he had to die within 7 days. He was cursed by a Brahmana boy to be bitten by a snake bird and die within 7 days. And he had to fix his mind on the Lord. So he went to the bank of the Ganga, and at Naimisharanya, Shukadeva Goswami said and came, and then Parikshit Maharaj asked so many questions, and Shukadeva Goswami answered, and all the sages from all over the universe came to attend that meeting. And everyone learned. And now that is recorded by Vyasadeva, and today we are learning. So in this way, that river is flowing not only at that time when the inquiry is happening and this thing is there, but even after that, it is recorded. Just like every meeting has minutes in the corporate world, meeting has minutes. So this is actually the greatest service that is done by Vyasadeva, who is another incarnation of God. He minuted everything down. All these important conversations. Not some conversations about how to earn money, they're not interested, but how to advance in spiritual life. So these were all recorded in verses and huge scriptures, and it is coming through this parampara system. A very extensive program has been established by Krishna so that this river continues to flow. And wherever there are such devotees, so wherever there is Shravan Kirtan, wherever there is Krishna Katha, the devotees are always around. Just like when there is river, there is embankments, and there is civilization around it. So devotees, that civilization will flourish, and the land will be fertile and everything, right? Just like when there is river. So similarly, the devotee community will flourish where there is Shravan Kirtan process. If you just have a temple where you have Archana, Abhishek and all that, and then people go and take darshan, sit down for a while, talk gossip, and then come out, or break some coconut and offer some flowers, nothing is going to change because there's no Krishna Katha. It will dwindle and dwindle until it vanishes. That is exactly what is happening to our Sanatana Dharma now. People are just going to temple as a matter of some formality and going back. They're never taught what is actually the real significance of coming to a temple. It is a university. It's a university for spiritual science. And mind you, it's a science. Don't be fooled by the Western, indoctrination that this is some mythology, we're talking about some myths. No. The word is Purana. Bhagavat, Puran. Markandeya Puran, Padma Puran, Skanda Puran, Vishnu Puran. Puran means what? Old. That means historical. These are historical records. These things happened. These are history. There are history lessons. And what kind of history? Records? Historical records? Not useless ones. Oh, this war happened, that pact was signed, this was... these are all useless. Substantial histories which are connected with the Lord, which have eternal lessons. Historical incidences, but with eternal lessons, evergreen lessons. Those are recorded. Only the useful ones. And today we are, taking advantage of that. So, going back to that verse, they're saying an intelligent person does not take interest in a place, even in the topmost planetary system, if the pure Ganga of topics concerning the Supreme Lord's activities does not flow there. If there are not devotees engaged in service on the banks of such a river of piety, or if there are no festivals of Sankirtan Yajna, that means chanting, to satisfy the Lord, especially since Sankirtan Yajna is recommended in this age. When there's no Sankirtan Yajna, just now before this class we had singing of the holy names of Krishna. So that is Sankirtan, and this is also Sankirtan. Sankirtan means not only singing with musical instruments. Glorification of the Lord is Sankirtan. Now this is Sankirtan. The Lord is being glorified, His message is being discussed. Somebody is speaking, somebody is listening. So this is Sankirtan. So this is the real yajna, especially in this age of Kali Yuga. We are not qualified to do yoga, and we are actually coming to that. That is the real topic of today's verse. That is this yoga process, that life air, fix it between the eyebrows. We don't know first of all where life air is. Where is our life air? Where is air? Yeah, I am breathing in and out, that much I know. That other than that, we don't know anything. So this system was practiced in Satya Yuga, where people were all Hamsa. That time there was no Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. They were all Paramahamsas. Then in Treta Yuga, 25% of irreligion was introduced. And then there was, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Varnas came. And then Dwapara Yuga, 50% of irreligion was introduced. And then in the Treta Yuga, in Treta Yuga, the method of worship, Yuga Dharma, was through big havan, sacrifices, homam. The ingredients for such homam you cannot even imagine. Our Bill Gates and all this, what is that, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, they cannot even comprehend what amount of wealth is required to collect the ingredients for the yajna. That much how expensive it was. And the standard of the mantras that were chanted by Brahmins, the tapasya they had, they could do anything with the mantra. So that is not possible. Dwapara Yuga, 50% of irreligion was introduced. And then what is Yuga Dharma for Dwapara Yuga? Paricharyayam. That means opulent, very grand temple worship. And in Kalautad Hari Kirtanat, in Kali Yuga, even that is not possible. You see, big temples are there, but what is there? Dogs are running there inside the temple compound. I have seen, went to, huge temples. And only one small corner of the temple, there is some puja going on. The vast majority of the premises, there's some dogs were there barking, and some chicken were there. That's all. Nothing is going on there. So, in Kali Yuga, everything is so disturbing. Kalautad Hari Kirtanat. Just by chanting Krishna's names in Kali Yuga, all perfection is attained. So, the Devatas are saying when there is no Sankirtan Yajna, when there is no devotees, when there is no Shravan Kirtan of topics of Krishna, intelligent person is not interested in such a place. So, then प्राप्तानिर्जातिं गृहये च जन्तवो ज्ञान क्रिया द्रव्य कलाप संभृतां न वैयतेरन् अपुनर्भवायते भूयो वनौका इव यान्ति बन्धनम्. Bharatvarsha offers a proper land and circumstances in which to execute devotional service, which can free one from the results of jnana and karma. If one obtains a human body in the land of Bharatvarsha, with clear sensory organs with which to execute the Sankirtan Yajna, but in spite of this opportunity, he does not take to devotional service. He is like a liberated forest animals and birds that are careless and are therefore again bound by a hunter. For comparison, Jai Shraddhaya Bharhishi Bhagasho Havir Niruptamishtam Vidhi Mantra Vastutah Eka prithanam abhirahuto muda granati purna swayam ashisham prabhu. Of course, in India, Bharatvarsh, there are many worshippers of the demigods, the various officials appointed by the Supreme Lord, such as Indra, Chandra, and Surya, all of whom are worshipped differently. The worshippers offer the demigods their oblations, considering the demigods part and parcel of the whole, the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, accepts these offerings and gradually raises the worshippers to the real standard of devotional service by fulfilling their desires and aspirations. Because the Lord is complete, He offers the worshippers the benedictions they desire, even if they worship only part of His transcendental body. So this Devata worship is there in India. It's actually not a very high grade worship, according to Bhagavad-gītā and Bhagavatam. It is to introduce people to the worship at least of different parts and parcels of Krishna, who are the Devatas. But actually people are only interested in their own material interests. And for those reasons they worship Devata. But ultimately, the real aim is to get them to Hari Bhakti, which is Nishkama, completely devoid of all material desires. That is Krishna consciousness. That is the highest. So anyway, these are the things said by Devatas. Now, we come back all the way. Praise verse. prayāṇa-kāle manasācalena. So, anta-kāle cha māmeva smaran muktva kalevaram. We have just seen those who at the end of life think of Krishna and leave this body, they go to Krishna Loka. Not Svargaloka, Krishna Loka. What is the advantage of Krishna Loka? Where is Krishna Loka? Not in this universe. It is not in this universe at all. It is beyond this universe. See, Krishna says, 8th chapter, 16th verse, Abrahma bhuvanaloka punaravartinorjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. That means what? He dies and that's it, he's finished? Never? No. Not that he will just stay in the grave, that's it, he's never going to come out. Who wants that? Nobody wants that. No, that's not the meaning here. That means he will live with me for eternity, never having to take the trouble of taking birth and dying and taking birth and dying. That is the meaning. So that is the difference. Anta-kāle ca māmeva smaran muktva kalevaram. That is this meaning of this verse. Whoever at the end of his life quits his body remembering me alone at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. What happened? This is when you pass the test of death. Death is the final exam of this life. When you pass the test, and this is what happens. We go back to Krishna and live with him for eternity. If we fail, what happens? Yam yam vāpismaran bhāvam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. If I remember, say, my dear wife, next life I will become a woman. In fact, those who have become women now did that. And those women, if they attach to man, they become men. The two things, what we deserve, what we desire. If I keep pet dog and get very attached to the dog, then you know what is going to happen next life. Become a dog. People think, oh, it's cute, getting 10,000 likes on Instagram. But then we have to become a dog next life. And we'll be on the Instagram of somebody else's page. If you are lucky. Otherwise, we'll be a street dog. Where we'll fight with other dogs. You see in India, always a street dog, one ear is gone, one leg is injured. Always they're like that. Always fighting. That is dog life. So it is very dangerous to have pets even. People like to watch cat videos. What is that? Cat videos. TikTok. It's very dangerous. This is how Maya is. Oh, very cute. Look at this. Then make your cat. And cat life is not. No animal life is peaceful. Yeah. So, what if we become a cockroach? Become a all these things that we see: a tree, plant, insects, ants, cockroach, lizards, rats. These are all some souls who misuse their human life, and now they are there. When we see these things, we have to realize, "Arey, somebody made mistake, and that is now their position." What if I become a rat? I'll be roaming around in drains. Would I want that kind of life? We think, it's a rat. We don't think much. But these are there to remind us of what consequences ensue if we don't take up the process of Krishna consciousness. All these are reminders of a person who has failed the test of death. So human life is not meant for failing, it's meant for passing this test. But if we don't prepare, we can't expect to pass the test without any preparation, right? Any test goes like that. So that's why we have to start meditating on the Lord now. And meditating on the Lord, that's why the last week's verse. What are the what? You see the 8 aspects of the Lord. Kavim Puranam Manushasitaram Anoraniyam Samanusmaredyah Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat. So, what are the 8 things? Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyam Anusmaredyah means to remember him. Sarvasya dhataram achintya rupam aditya varnam tamasah parastat. These are the 8 things mentioned in this verse of the Lord. So what is the situation of the Lord? I have to monitor this live stream. Anybody is monitoring the live stream, sometimes camera just goes off for no reason. Okay, I think it's okay. So I just want to keep the screen here. Otherwise, for about 20 minutes the last week, it was just gone. Okay, so Kavi means what? One who knows everything. Of course, Kavi means we know as poet. But in the ultimate sense, Kavi, Ishopanishad also describes the Lord as Kavi, who is omniscient. That is the exact meaning of Kavi, the ultimate meaning of Kavi. The one who knows everything, Kavim. Philosopher is also called Kavi. Purāṇam, the oldest. He is oldest, but he doesn't look old. He is ever fresh. Nitya Nutana, Navayauvanam, Navyavat. These words are used. So he is the oldest. He is the origin of everything. He existed before the universe even started. And he will continue to exist even after the universe is finished. But he's always having the youthful feature. He never grows old. And we have discussed this in great detail. Not only Krishna himself, his body, but everything pertaining to him. His name is also like that. Ever new. His pastimes is also like that. His message, Bhagavad-gītā, is also like that. Nobody, like newspaper, 1 week back's newspaper is now you will find in the Chaat Bhandar, Bhelpuri. You can eat on it. Nobody does that over Bhagavad-gītā. Because it is Nitya Nutana. Krishna Katha Nitya Nutana. Konu Tripyeda Shranmana Shrutagno Nitya Nutana. It is always fresh. Everything about Krishna is always fresh. Then Anushasitaram is the controller. Shasadhatu. The root word is shas, which means to control. Shastra is a book that controls the lives of others, like constitution of a country. It controls the lives of others. There are laws mentioned, and there's an enforcement department like the police, the prisons, and all that, the justice system. So this is the Shastra. And we have Shastra, scriptures, which control our life. If we choose not to follow the Shastra, then we will be taken under the control of Maya, and nicely Maya will beat us. You know that famous picture of Durga Devi with a trishul and in the piercing the heart of Mahishasura. Mahishasura Mardini. What is that? Oh, she killed some demon with a fancy weapon. No, there is a reason. That Mahishasura is actually a representation of all of us. We are the Asura. Why we are Asura? Dvaubhuta sargo lokesmin daiva asura evacha Vishnu bhakta smrito daiva asurastad viparyaya. Two kinds of people are there in this world. Daiva, asura. The godly and the demoniac. Who are godly? Vishnu bhakta smrito daiva. Who are Vishnu bhaktas? They are daiva. Asuras tad viparyaya. Asuras are those who are against Vishnu. You can be great devotee of Shiva, but if you are against Vishnu, you are Asura. You can be great devotee of Durga, Brahma, anything. You are Asura if you are not devotee of Vishnu. Ravan was an example. Hiranyakashipu was an example. Great devotees of Shiva and Brahma respectively. But who are they? Asura. Vishnu Bhakta. Prahlad, although the son of an Asura, he is a great Bhakta. Daiva. And Hiranyakashipu's father, Kashyap Muni, he is a great Bhakta. He is a Brahmana. But his son became Asura. So Asura, Daiva and all this not by family. Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, nothing is by family, it is by qualification. Yasyayal lakshanam proktam pumso varnabhivyanjakam yad anyatrapi drishyeta tattenaiva vinirdishyet. Even if one has taken birth in another so-called caste, family, but if he has the symptoms of, say, a Brahmana, he is a Brahmana. If one is born in a Brahmin family, but his symptoms are like those of a Shudra, he is a Shudra. Now, all this is not based on for discrimination, but for organized human society. Because not everybody is with the same talents and same skill sets and same interests and aptitudes. So to engage everyone so that each and every section of population advances towards the goal of Vishnu worship. Vishnu aradhate pantha nanya tattosha-karanam varnashramācāravata puruṣena parah. Vishnu Puran says that this varnashram system is there only for the satisfaction of Vishnu. There is no other reason for that. Not to further some economic growth or GDP, gross domestic product. What is that? The wealth of a country. That is never the aim of Vedic civilization. Not like present day. So anyway, Anushasitaram, he is the supreme controller. How he is controlling everything? He is the owner of everything. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram. People are fighting over countries. Oh, this is my land, that is your land, let's fight. But if everybody understands that Krishna is the owner of everything, of all lands, where there is fight? There will be no fight. So this knowledge is there in Bhagavad-gītā. So the world peace can be attained simply by understanding Bhagavad-gītā. If you understand that Krishna is the supreme controller, Ishavasam idam sarvam, everything belongs to the Lord. Just like every property has a title deed and a title stating who is the owner and who is when he bought everything. So similarly, these are the title deeds of the Lord. Ishopanishad states, Ishavasam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagattena tyaktena bhunjita magridhasa tasya siddhanam. Everything belongs to the Lord. That's it. One statement. Finish. Nobody owns anything. That is Anushasitaram. To understand all these things, Anoraniyansam, he is smaller than the smallest. Anu means atom. It's not that, oh, we are so some cavemen, we do not know what was going on. Anu, atomic Science was already present. Hello. Now they are talking about nuclear fusion. Oh, greatest breakthrough of science. And we already know all this. We had Brahmastras, nuclear weapons. Far before these people could even, they were even in the forest maybe hunting. We already have all these things. Okay. So, anor aniyamsam. The word is used anu. Anu means atom. And but andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham. Brahma in the beginning of the universe, billions of years ago, he already said this word. Paramanu. Paramanu means molecule. Anu means atom. These words are already there in our vocabulary. Don't think ours is a cheap culture. Oh, it is too embarrassing to show off my religion. Be proud of it. Why are you embarrassed? This is still the colonial hangover. Being embarrassed by our culture is the highest. Indians, they shy to wear the dhoti. I see even sometimes ladies wear the saris, but men never wear dhotis. Why? So simple things also we are not. You look at the other religions like Muslim, for example. They're wearing the dress. You see Arab, that king, prince, how is he wearing for international delegation meetings? Oh, because I'm going there, I should wear in a suit and boot and all. No, he doesn't care. I'll go in my dress. They accept me or don't accept me, I don't care. People see what you are made of, substance. What is your substance? Nobody cares about what you wear. Yeah, of course, wear decently, but you have your principles. Stand for your principles. Don't compromise anything. Why you have to compromise? Anor aniyamsam. He is smaller than the smallest, and also anor aniyan mahato mahiyan. He is bigger than the biggest. Now it is puzzling. How can somebody be smaller than the smallest and bigger than the biggest? Well, you can see in the matter in the Leela of where Krishna and there's a small boy took some dirt in his mouth, and Yashoda, Mother Yashoda, she saw into the mouth of Krishna and she found the entire universe there. And she found the earth planet. She found herself looking into Krishna's mouth, inside Krishna's mouth. How you will be tripping, It's like an optical illusion. So he is on earth, took a little bit of dust into his mouth, but then the entire universe was in his mouth and he is in the earth. How does it make sense? But he demonstrated it. You may say, oh, this is not possible. Then, well, Krishna did it. So that is it. Krishna, that's why he is called Achintya Rupam. Achintya Rupam means you cannot imagine. We calculate according to what is possible for us. And we think that if it is not possible for me, then it is not possible for him also. Then what is the meaning of God? If he is under your logic. That is the exact meaning of the word achintya. Chintya. Chintana means thinking, power. So he is beyond our chintan, beyond our, grasping power. We cannot wrap our heads around the Lord. But you see, Yashoda, she could wrap the rope around Krishna, Damodar. The word Damodar is very, very meaningful because of that. Because how can she wrap around Krishna? Universe is in him. Millions of universes are in him. And how can she wrap around millions of universes? But he is as a child inside this universe and at the same time millions of universes inside the child. What is going on? It's very bewildering if you try to analyze it logically. But it has happened. And she was trying, adding all the rope, but it was 2 inches short, 2 inches short, 2 inches short. Finally, Krishna allowed her, okay, you try. Then only she could tie. What does that mean? If Krishna is entirely, he is not dependent on our efforts. No matter how much we try, he's not going to be captured by us. But he can be captured by love. He allows himself to be captured when one approaches him with love and devotion. That's why Mother Yashoda is greater than any yogi, although she did not do all this yoga system. Today we have bhruvor, madhye, prāṇam, life air, put in the middle of the eyebrows. We don't know how to put. What is that? I'll get headache. Where is the life air? I don't know. The air is I'm breathing only, that much I know. How to put it in the, this is a very extensive practice made with thousands of years of practice. Those days in Haṭha Yoga, human life was 100,000 years long. Treta Yoga 10,000 years. Dwapar Yoga 1,000 years. Kali Yuga 100 years, and that is also reducing. So, it's not possible, this yoga system. But look at Mother Yashoda. She did not meditate, put the life hair between the eyebrows, nothing. She tied Krishna nicely. How is it possible? She is greater than any yogi then. Yes, she is. By what? By Bhakti Yoga. Bhaktyā. Today verse also is that bhaktyā, yoga-balena caiva. So anoraniyam sam anusmaredhyah sarvasya dhātāram. He is the maintainer of everything. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam ekau bahunam yo vidadhati kama. Of course, we have dealt with this subject in much more detail, but I wouldn't be going through all of that. Achintya Rupam, he has a form which is Sachidananda Vigraha. You think of what is 2 eyes, 2 hands, that is very limited. What kind of Rupa is this? God should be unlimited. Yeah, he is unlimited. With 2 eyes, 2 hands, he is seeing everything. Sarvatah panipadam tat sarvatokshishiro mukham sarvatah shruti malloke sarvam avritya tishtati. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the Super Soul or Paramatma exists, pervading everything. He is one place, yes. Goloka eva nivasati. Akhilatma bhuta. Akhilatma bhuta means he is in every single atom also. He is in the heart of every single living entity at the same time. Now, if I am here, I am not in, say, India or next room. But Krishna can be here and there also. That is Achintya Rupam. That is Sachidananda Vigraha. And here, another thing, Sachidananda Vigraha. Our Vigraha, our body is asat. It is not eternal. It is temporary. Achit, it is full of ignorance. We don't even know what the body is made of and how we have to study MBBS for 5-6 years before we can understand a little bit. He already constructed it. And another level of ignorance with the body is that because of this body, we don't even know who I am. I think I am this body. It darkens our ignorance even more because we get attached to not only the body but also the body's paraphernalia, which is the entourage, which is our family, our house, everything. So the ignorance only increases with this body. So this is achit. There is no knowledge. Avidya. Nirananda, body is full of miserable conditions. Body is miserable. Full of pains, diseases, and finally death. Starting from birth, it is painful. You see, the child is coming out crying. He is not coming out ha 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 like this. He is not coming out like that. He is crying. Why is he crying? Because it is painful. 9 months he endured the pain. So, until death. Fully painful. But Krishna's body is Sat, Chit, Ananda. Eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. And Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimante. Every sense organ of his body can perform the activity of every other sense. He can eat through his toes. He can see with his ears. Every function of we are limited with our functions of the senses. He is not. That those limitations don't apply to him. That's why he's called Achintya Rupam. We cannot comprehend. Cannot calculate Krishna like us, although he has a form similar to us. In fact, it's the other way around. We have a form similar to him. Even Bible says man is made in the image of God. Not that God was imagined according to human form. No. Oh, because we have a human form. That rascal, Sadguru. I don't know whoever listens to him. He's a rascal. Let me tell you this straight away. He's a rascal number 1. He says, oh, how do you know? Oh, you have created these forms of God. He's an atheist number 1. And he knows how to twist the words like anything. He's saying everything against Bhagavad-gītā. Whatever Bhagavad-gītā says, his conclusions are always opposite. He's saying, you have created, Krishna, Ram according to your imagination, according to your form. Who knows? Buffalo is thinking God is in a buffalo form. That is his understanding. And he says clearly, I have never read the Vedas. Then our question is, why are you then talking about it? Keep quiet. Don't talk about it. If you did not read anything, don't talk anything about it. You don't know anything about it. Okay? Just because you're doing a bunch of podcasts all over the world, you're not that you're a great thinker or great philosopher. We openly challenge anyone. Anyone who opposes our philosophy is a rascal, number one. Not I am saying, Krishna himself is saying, Mudhoyam na bhijanat. Mudha means what? Great intellectual person. Fool. So don't be carried away by rascals and take them as gurus. Okay? Listen to Krishna. Krishna is the real guru. Why don't we listen to him? Bhagavad-gītā has been there since time immemorial. And he's openly saying, I never read Bhagavad-gītā because I don't want to be influenced by anything. I just want to be influenced. Then why are you trying to influence others? And I shouldn't be listening to you also according to your own philosophy. Why are you speaking then? Shut up and sit down now, somewhere. This is our challenge. We will not rest until every rascal his mouth is shut. That is our determination. This is not, this is very egoistic statement. What are you saying? No. Arjuna fought. Why? Because it's dharma yuddha. So our problem in our dharma is we don't need to look for some other dharma they are attacking us. No. Our people will attack our own dharma. Look at the way Narad Muni is portrayed in the movies. Clown. He's made a clown. Always, interested in creating some trouble around, fighting around people. Is that Narad Muni? You know who Narad Muni is actually? You know how great sadhu he is? How many thousands and millions of devotees he made? If you only read Bhagavad Puran and Mahabharata and all this Ramayana, you will understand. Valmiki Muni was disciple of Narad Muni. You know that? He wrote the Ramayana, Valmiki. He was a disciple of Narad Muni. Vyasadeva wrote Bhagavad Puran and Mahabharata. He is a disciple of Narad Muni. Prahlad Maharaj, disciple of Narad Muni. Dhruv Maharaj, disciple of Narad Muni. Yudhishthira Maharaj, disciple of Narad Muni. Mrigari, the hunter, absolute hunter, he was a disciple of Narad Muni, became a great devotee. Narad Muni delivered even snakes. He delivered the 11,000 sons of Prajapati Daksha. You know who Narad Muni is? How much offensive it is. You say one thing against Muhammad, what will happen to you? You'll be beheaded. Huh? And here we are talking about our own sadhu, our own acharya, in a comical way. This is our dharma. No respect. Everything. I have seen the other day I always say this example. Like a few years back, I saw this video clip of Siyakaram. There is a serial Siyakaram. Do you know? How many know? Siyakaram. There's, like Ramayana, they have some adaptation of it. So I just saw one episode of it. I got disgusted. Their, camera work is all very good. But I saw this episode of Ahalya, where she was a stone. She became a stone by the curse of Gautam Muni. And Ramchandra Bhagavan, you know the story in Ramayana. What happened? He touched the stone with his foot and she again regained her form, right? Here, some rascal feminist was there, I think director. He wanted to appeal to the feminist people. And he came around with the story of Ram went and then he saw the form of Ahalya and he touched the feet of Ahalya and put it on his head. So she's so great that Ram has to, touch her feet. Getting touched by Ram's feet is misogyny? Tell me. Getting touched by Ram's feet is beneath your dignity as a woman? What is he trying to portray? This is the rascaldom we are against. We don't have to search for enemies anywhere. Our own people are enemies. Tell you another example. Sai Baba. I'm sorry if anybody who worship, but let me tell you this. Who made him God? Where in the Shastra it is mentioned? God has to be mentioned in the Shastra, otherwise he is not God. Do you know that? Every incarnation, every avatar of God is mentioned in the Shastra. Even the ones that are yet to come, Kalki, already mentioned in the Shastra. His father's name will be Vishnu Yasa. Father's name is mentioned. When he will come is mentioned. What he will do is mentioned. Buddha, before he came, he is mentioned. That is how we accept who is an avatar and who is not. Since we do not read our own books, we get fooled by every Tom, Dick and Harry who comes and says, I am God. And we, what if he is God? Maybe something will happen if I don't worship him. Put his picture in the altar. put some flowers every day, otherwise something curse will happen for me. This is the mentality of Indians nowadays. Because no reading of Bhagavad-gītā. Who is he, this Sai Baba? Huh? He's a Muslim mendicant, That's what he is. Huh? There's one more after that. In Andhra Pradesh. Another bogus. Where is he mentioned? Where is he mentioned in the Shastra? Please tell me. Don't quote some Sai Satcharita they have written. They can make up any amount of stories. I can tomorrow write a story about myself. One whole book I can publish. Oh, somebody came to him, something magic happened, he spit out some stones and dust and everything. Come on, please don't tell me this crap. Krishna did not do that when he came. What did he do? He spoke Bhagavad-gītā. He lifted the Govardhan Hill. Lift something, lift something at least and show. Can do nothing and then simply saying God and everybody is following. Look at this. We are against every one of these people for infiltrating our dharma. Adharmam dharmam itya manyate tamasavrita sarvarthan viparitamscha buddhi sapartha tamasi. We're already way past time. That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion, under the spell of illusion and darkness, and strives always in the wrong direction of Partha, is in the mode of ignorance. It is tamasic religion. If we accept that which is wrong as right and accept the right as wrong. You see, purport. Intelligence in the mode of ignorance is always working the opposite of the way it should. Sattvic intelligence, Rajasic intelligence, and Tamasic intelligence we have. This is Tamasic intelligence. They are also intelligent, but they use it in opposite way. It accepts religions which are not actually religions and rejects actual religion. Hello, our so-called Hindu dharma. The word Hindu is also not mentioned in any of our Shastra. Do you know that? Proud to be a Hindu. Who is proud to be a Hindu here? The word Hindu is not there in the Shastra, first of all. It is a name given by the Muslims. The Sindhu river in Pakistan, Sindh river, it is called Sindhu river in our scriptures. People who were on the eastern side of the Sindhu river were known as Sindhustan. Just it's a geographical reference only. Now we became Hindustan, and then that Hindu we have become our name of our religion. We have accepted a foreign name of the only religion in the world which has a foreign name. All glories to our Sanatana Dharma. Devatas are saying how fortunate Bharatvasis is. This is our Bharatvasi condition. Yeah? It accepts religions which are not actual religions and rejects actual religion. Men in ignorance understand a great soul to be a common man and accept a common man as a great soul. Sai Baba, Sadguru. If you have faith in any of those, I'm sorry, but I have to state facts. According to Shastra. I don't care for sentiment. I don't care what you believe. I have to tell you what is the truth according to Shastra. Otherwise, you are being fooled. They think truth to be untruth and accept untruth as truth. In all activities, they simply take the wrong path. Therefore, their intelligence is in the mode of ignorance. You open Bhagavad-gītā, then you will know everything. Understand? Don't be fooled. So, to close this thing, because we have digressed so much. But all these are necessary aspects of the verse as well. So prayāṇa-kāle. So when in our life, if we prepare ourselves properly, then at the time of death, so all these misconceptions have to be driven away in this life itself. Whatever I said just now, all these things have to be driven away in this life so that we are absolutely clear about what is what. And at the time of death, we can be very clear about what we have to meditate on and how to meditate. There's no doubts. That's it. That is how we should be. Manasācalena. Manasācalena. That means achal means what? Chanchal means what? Restless. When we are not conclusive in our understanding, then we will be restless. We are not sure, we'll do everything this and that and this and that. In that way, we will not achieve. Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya. Whatever dharma you have created in your, give up. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. That is real dharma. Mam ekam, me alone. Krishna says, not that me, Ganesh, Shiva, Sai Baba, Sadguru. No, 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 no. Please, you will know, you will go nowhere with that. Nowhere you're going to go. Okay? Mam ekam sharanam vraja. In the 18th chapter, 66th verse of Bhagavad-gītā. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami masucha. Don't worry. Nothing will happen. People sometimes worry, oh, what if I give up worship of this devata, that devata, this human being, that Baba, this. Nothing will happen. Masucha. Nothing will happen. I will take care. I am the owner of everything. I am the controller of everything. I will give you moksha. You see? 18th chapter. That's why manasācalena. Acalena. Cannot be wavering. Absolutely fixed. Yeah? Bhaktyā yukto yoga-balena caiva. Yoga-balena means by the strength of yogic practice. Now we have seen the Shakchakra Yoga, which is Haṭha Yoga, which is mentioned in this verse. And all this meditating asana, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. This is the Ashtanga Yoga. 8 parts of the yoga. Now, this is very difficult in Kali Yuga, impossible actually. The yoga that is possible for us is Bhakti Yoga, which has 9 different types. Navavidha Bhakti Yoga. What is that? Sorry, I'm taking a little bit more time. We're going to end in about 5 minutes. Just be patient. See, sometimes it just does this. See, Sri Prahlada Vacha, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishno, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dāsyam, Sakhyam Atmanivedanam. This is Navavidha Bhakti. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishno Smaranam. This Vishnu Smaranam is already Samadhi in the Ashtanga Yoga. The 8th final stage of Ashtanga Yoga is Samadhi. That Samadhi can be achieved, this Vishnu Smaranam, just by Shravanam and Kirtanam. In the 3rd stage itself, we are in Samadhi. In the 4th stage, everything is continuous, seva for the Lord. So, by hearing and chanting Krishna's name and his philosophy, we will be in Samadhi. And we can think of Krishna all the time. So, this is the process we have to adopt. Yoga-balena. Bhaktyā yukto yoga-balena caiva. And eradicate all the misconceptions that arise. We have to be clear. So Krishna said already what is dharma, what is adharma, the different types of adharma. Everything is mentioned in the 7th canto. We don't have that much time. But all this is mentioned. Now, bhruvor madhye prāṇam āveśya samyak. So here it is mentioned that we have to put our life hair in the middle of our eyebrows. But in our case, always think of Krishna. Chant Hare Krishna. Now thinking of Krishna is also difficult. Our mind is again distracted by so many things. If we can think of Krishna always, then what will happen? Satam paraṁ puruṣam upaiti divyam. We will achieve the Lord at the end of life. Prayāṇa-kāle. But remembering is very difficult. But there is an easier process, which is much more powerful. Vaishnava Chintamani, there is a book, scripture, it is said, Agachit smaranam Vishnor, Bahva yasena sadhyate, Oshta spandana matrena, Kirtanam tu tato varam. Although capable of destroying all sins, the remembrance of Lord Vishnu is achieved only with extraordinary effort. The remembrance of Lord Vishnu is achieved extraordinary. On the other hand, one may perform Krishna Kirtan simply by moving one's lips. And thus, this process is superior. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And we can do with music, we can chant in japa. And automatically by the sound, you are Your hearing, your chanting the name of Krishna, your tongue is used in Krishna's service, your ear is used in Krishna's service, your hand is used in Krishna's service, and your mind is used in Krishna's service. So this is the process of Bhakti Yoga. If you can do this whole life, every day chanting, reading, hearing classes, and engaging in Krishna Seva, eating Krishna Prasadam, in this way, your life will be perfect. And at the end of life, you will be passing the test. Otherwise, if you're going to get distracted with all these babas and here and there, you're going to fail this test. You're going to fail, for sure. Don't get carried away by millions of followers or likes on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. That's not the criteria, because at the time of death, all these millions of likes, these people are not going to help at the time of death. Krishna is going to help. That one like we want. We're interested in that one supreme like of Krishna. That's all we want. Even if the whole world hates us, we don't mind. Krishna should like us, and He will save us. Yeah. Okay, we'll stop it here. Any questions or comments on this topic? No questions, so we'll stop it here. Bhagavad-gītā की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरे हरे।